Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to once again another video. Today, I'll be looking at the air battle over Pearl Harbor. So the attack on Pearl Harbor was ultimately what got the U.S. into World War II to join their allies, Britain and France, who had already been fighting. So it happened on Hawaii, and it was on December 7th, 1941. Japan had sailed on 3 carriers and some screening vessels to Pearl Harbor to launch 353 airplanes from 3 carriers to attack the naval and air bases on the island. And it was a devastating blow for the U.S. Navy at that time. But the thing that saved the U.S. was their aircraft carriers not being there. Their aircraft carriers were patrolling the Pacific, um, training pilots and everything, and they, it was a good thing that they weren't there because that would have meant probably the end of the U.S. Navy, and we probably would have been forced to surrender. And so I'll start off this video by looking at the three airplanes that attacked Pearl Harbor. So first up on the list is the D-3A Val dive bomber. And as you can see, it was fixed landing gear, and it wasn't very fast, but it was used in wide numbers the by the Japanese, and it could hold two small, I think 500-pound bombs, then 500-pound bombs. Or wait, sorry, 100-pound bombs. I'm sorry about that. And then I think like a 500-pound bomb, if I remember that correctly, and the fuselage hard point. So the next airplane I'll be looking at was the Japanese. It was their escort fighter. It was also used to to attack the U.S. airfields, and it was the Mitsubishi A6M0, and it had very good maneuverability. And this is what was used to protect the bombers and torpedo bombers from U.S. fighters that were stationed on on the island. And so the last airplane that was used that I'll be looking at what is the B-5N2 Kate, and this was the Japanese torpedo bomber of that time. And it could also be used as a high altitude bomber, and it sat 3 seaters, one a gunner, a pilot, and a bombardier. And it could be fitted with I think a Type or Mark 91 torpedo, and that was a shallow water torpedo that the Japanese had to especially design for this attack, and it was very effective and sank a lot of U.S. ships. And it could also be fitted with 6 100-pound bombs for high altitude bombing, and that is ultimately actually what sunk the Arizona, and it hit the magazine, and it just blew up into an entire huge explosion, and it killed like 2,000 sailors, and it was really sad because we lost a lot of people that day due to this attack. Now I'll be looking at the American defense of Pearl Harbor, and a lot of people really don't know a lot about the U.S. defense in Pearl Harbor. Most notably, we had 2 pilots that went up to challenge the Japanese. Taylor and Welch, he had been partying the night before, and as a punishment, he had been sent to this little airfield. I think it was Bellows, and it was a gravel strip, and they basically scrambled, being shot at by the Japanese while they were driving there. And their plane said they'd already called the airfield, told the ground crew to get their planes ready to go up and challenge the Japanese. And they flew a P-40 Warhawk. And altogether they shot down 6 Japanese airplanes. and they actually went on to be very successful fighter pilots. Taylor actually becoming an ace and a test pilot at the end of the war. We also had a lot of other airplanes stationed there. On Ford Island, we had the PBY Catalina. We had the PBY Catalina, and this was like an early model. It wasn't an amphibian as you see here. It was had to be fitted with external wheels to roll it around on the ground and everything. And we also had the P-36 Hawk base on the island, and this was basically just a radial engine P-40. P-40 is basically like kind of an upgraded version of this aircraft. And we actually had one pilot that I know of. His name was Colonel Sanders, and his wingman Sanders sadly was shot down by a Japanese aircraft and was killed, but his wingman survived to fight again, but sadly he did not. And the U.S. Also had we had some we had a flight of B-17 Flying Fortresses, and as you can see, this is the older model. This is like the beginner model with no tail gunner. This was the early model, and they were coming in from California on the way to the Philippines, and were stopping at Hawaii to be refueled. And they had been stripped of all guns and weapons from California to make the long flight to Honolulu. And they had actually been shot at by the Japanese, but I don't think any of them were ever shot down. The U.S. Navy also and the Marines also had one airplane that was also stationed there, and it was Brewster Buffalo, and I think most of them were destroyed during this attack. We also had some P-35s based on the island too. We also had some Kingfishers that were on the boats. Sorry, this is not the right paint job. Dutch Kingfisher, and this airplane it could be launched from a battleship, and as you can see, this is the variant that had floats on it, and it was mainly used as a observation reconnaissance float plane. We also had some Boeing P-26s that were stationed there, and in total we shot down 29 airplanes, and 14 had American planes that managed to take off to shoot down a total number of 10, along with Taylor and Welch. And so there you have it. That was the air battle of Pearl Harbor, and it did have a lot of secrets to it that not a lot of people really know about. And so thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that notification button to know the second I post a new video. Also subscribe, tell all your friends, fellow history buffs. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.